Hello guys, hey, I'm Brian Latturner, here on another pack trip. Welcome to my podcast. Today I'm going in, I think it's 10 miles and about 3,000 vertical feet, maybe a little more, maybe 3,500. This trail, it's quite the haul in here. It's a pretty gradual climb for probably the first 6 miles, and then it starts to climb pretty steep. I don't know, I may be able to find a shortcut. I've never been in this country before. Just come up here for a little calorie burner and hopefully find a few bucks. I'm sure there will be some up here. It's just a matter of whether I can turn them up or not. So, but it should be fun. This is the heaviest load I've done this year. I believe it's about 70 pounds, maybe 60 to 70. Probably carrying a little more water than I really need to on this trip. But anyway, so let's get her done. Let's go find some bucks, huh? Stick with me. Let's do it. Alright guys, I'm 6 miles in now. It's taken me 2 hours and 15 minutes to make it here. I had a pretty good pace because it took me 55 minutes to go the first 2 miles, and so what, an hour and 20 minutes to go 4. So I had picked up the pace because I'm running a little bit late. It's 5 o'clock, 5:15 now. I'd like to make it the next 4 miles in at least 2 hours. And this is where the steep part starts. So anyway, just gonna have a quick breather, power bar, a plum, and then I'll be on my way, hoofing it, get up there. I'd like to be on top by 7, so I have a couple hours to glass. So anyway, it's a good hike. This is quite the test for me. 10 miles, I couldn't find any shortcuts, so I'm going to be doing the full 10 miles. So it's a pretty good test with this pack. So anyway, that's it. Alright, I'm about 8 miles in. Still got a couple miles to go. My butt's kicked. I'm getting tired. But I got lucky. Walking up, found this camp. Somebody left a bunch of beers here. So I'm going to have one. So, have me a beer. I might even take one. So, whoever beer this is, thanks. I appreciate it. It looks like a number of them popped over the winter, frozen popped. But there's 4 or 5 of them here that haven't. So, I might be having a couple more on the way out. Thanks, guys. You know, I don't drink beer too often. But when I find them 8 miles into the backcountry, it's kind of hard to pass. Especially when my butt's kicked. Need a little small buzz to take my mind off of this long walk. Anyway, so I've got probably, it's not 1,000 vertical feet, probably 800. Yeah, it might be 1,000 vertical feet up, and another 2 miles or so to the top, and then I'll be able to relax overnight. So anyway, keep plugging along. Don't know what time it is, but I think I have plenty of time to reach the top and try and find a big old snotty buck. So I'm out. I just reached the top, spotted a buck. Stand over there on that sunny ridge in that saddle. Well, I tried a stalk on that buck. I got a little antsy, and I seen the buck he was with going around a little ridge about 120 yards away, so I thought he was following him. So I kind of hustled across the hill. Well, he had held back in some pines about 60 or 80 yards, and I just walked up on him about 30 yards. I don't know if he was bedded or just feeding through there, but I bumped him out of there. He ran down the hill about 100 yards, and he didn't want to go out in the sun, so as soon as he found a little spot of shade, and he laid right back down and just laid there and watched up the hill, and I started down there again, to see if I could get close to him laying there, but he already knew something was up, and in a situation like that, even if I'd have bumped him, the best thing to do would have been to probably back out and leave him alone. Once they think you're there, it's a bad idea to keep pushing, because they'll get you, and then you just run them out of the country. Like if this had been opening day of bow season, probably wouldn't see that buck again for a couple days. I don't know. But anyway, probably initially the best thing I could have done in this particular country would have been to just wait for him to bed, just keep an eye on him, watch him bed, and then either try to get him in the evening when he got up, or snuck in, if he was in a position where I could get close, while he was bedded, then okay. But I moved while he was feeding, and that's not really what a guy would want to do, and so I got to learn from little lessons like that, So anyway, that's that. Tried it. I wouldn't have got a shot. Well, that's it for today. This morning, I should say. I'm going to pack up camp here and move north about 6 miles. I got to drop off this mountain about 1,500 vertical feet, a couple miles back out of the main trail, and then that way a couple, and then a couple more back up onto another high ridge. So if I had more time, this is a big enough area that, it definitely deserves 2 days, but I think probably 75% of the bucks I see tonight or tomorrow in this area would be the same ones that I have already seen. Therefore, by going somewhere else, I know every buck I see is going to be a different one. So, the idea right now is just to cover ground, try and turn up a big one. That one I seen, he's a nice one. I'm pretty sure I'd take him, but I don't know if he's the, he's not what I'm looking for. I'd like to find a really big one, but if that's it, man, I'd be in here hunting him. So he's a nice buck, good looking, heavy. So anyway, that's it. I'm gonna load up camp and make tracks. Alright, I'm about 2.5 miles into my walk over to my other spot that I want to look at. Just stop this creek to fill my water bladder and probably wash up a little bit, and then I'll be on my way. Well, I made it over, guys. It took me 4.5 hours. It's about 6 miles. 5.5, 6 miles, somewhere in there. It's a long haul. I had to drop quite a ways and then climb quite a ways. My legs are tired. After yesterday's hike and this morning going out looking for deer and then this backpack walk, my butt's kicked, but it brought me over a beer, popped my hammock up. It's about 3:30, and I think I'll drink a beer and take a little nap here in the high country. So as you can see, pretty cool scenery. Good times, boys, good times. Hopefully tonight I find a giant buck. Ah, nice. Alright, boys. Set up my new camp here on a whole different mountain. I was hoping to be able to go over the top, but it's just too steep and ledgy, so I won't be able to make it, but I'm going to have to just glass a couple one big, fairly remote canyon. Hopefully there's a big old hog buck in here, but who knows. So anyway, I'm just sitting down here to have my dinner before going out for a couple hours and glassing, and I am having lasagna. Does that look like the lasagna your wife makes? If it does, I kind of feel bad for you. Doesn't look very good, but it is actually pretty good. Well, that's it for this podcast. Just about back to the truck. We headed home, my butt's kicked. Overall, I covered about, probably 22 to 24 miles over the last few days. 3 days. Yesterday and the day before. Today. I looked over, figure about $60. Only the best one I seen, and probably by far, was the 4-point with the cheaters that I got on video. He's about the best one. Well, I'm sure he's the best one by far. There was one other buck way off that looked like he had a, probably like a 26-inch frame, and maybe some decent tines, but that's it. It's tough, I know that in this kind of country, you really do have to cover a lot of ground and look at a lot of bucks before you find a big one. So, that's all I can do. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of my outing. So, be sure to share your video on Monster Hunt Clips too, would you? And get involved in our Hunt Adventure Challenge. Should be fun. Alright guys, later.